Hello. I'm here with my friend Marius,
Yo,
and we're going to be discussing the war on drugs, which was a time in the late 20th century when U.S. government was trying to crack down on drug usage in the U.S. So yeah, we're just going to get right off the bat and start off with question one. What do you think when you hear the term war on drugs?
I think like them fighting to. I know they can't really stop it, but it's the effort to try to reduce drug uses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shit like that.
All right, cool. All right. So question two is kind of similar. Like if you have any prior knowledge on the war on drugs, what are your opinions on it?
I don't have any prior knowledge. It makes sense, but like it's kind of dumb at the same time because I don't think anything they could do could really completely stop it. But it makes sense for them trying to like control it in a way.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So then, like for me personally, obviously I had to do a lot of research to go into this project, but like also I had a little bit of prior knowledge, and I don't know. I feel like they could have handled it a lot better. And also there was just more things they could have focused on at the time that they didn't need to focus on drugs. But question three is like, do you feel it was racially targeted? Like it was like racially targeted when the government made powder cocaine less severe of a charge than crack cocaine, because powder cocaine was more like a white drug, more white people used it, and crack cocaine was mainly black people were using it. So like, do you think that the government was trying to target uh, black people by making crack cocaine more of a severe punishment? And
I definitely think it was the intent that was to charge it. I think their intentions were to target like minorities in general. I don't think only black people, but minorities in general.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Cut that out! Cut that out!
My mic fell.
All right, all right, all right. All right, cool, all right, cool. Question four. Do you know in the United States we incarcerate more of our citizens than any other country in the world? And that happened because of mandatory minimums, which is like if you get let's say like you get caught with weed or like any other type of drug, there's a minimum amount of sentencing that you have to serve, right?
Alright.
And then what they would do is they obviously have what's it called? Not plea. What's the word I'm looking for? By the way, you buy yourself out of jail.
Bail.
Yeah, you have bail. So basically, you have bail, and they will set bail really high, right, and high enough so that these people cannot afford to get out. So basically, now what you're stuck with is a whole generation of people. Basically, like a lot of young men were getting taken out of like minority homes and getting put straight into jail. And yeah, like what are your thoughts on like the U.S. being literally like the biggest country in the world of like incarcerating their own citizens?
I feel like it's definitely intentional, and I think that they talk a lot about overfilled jails, like prisons,
Yeah,
and I don't really see much about them acting on it. I don't know because I don't really research this, but I don't really see much about them acting on it, which would make me think that they don't really want to change it.
yeah. I mean, like my opinion, it's like I just feel like we look at all these other countries like Russia and China and like a lot of communist countries and try to seem like they're the bad guy, but when we are really locking our own selves up, right? And then really like internally in America, it feels like we're like in a civil war with each other because of this. And then like a lot of this stuff, especially since there's so many black people going to jail, that's what started the whole F the police and Black Lives Matter, right? And all that stuff. So like I feel like really the root of all of this is just like is us as America, like it's nobody else to blame.
Yeah, I feel like they tried to stop it in a way, but like I feel like their efforts are so little that it's like they might as well have just not done anything.
Yeah. And then question 5 is what do you think of the term super predator? So like at the time, like 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, when this was like really, the war on drugs was really happening, like every now in the news you would see a different type of like more black men on the news, right? And then they'll be labeled as super predators. And this is a quote from Hillary Clinton. They are not just gangs of kids anymore. There are a type of kids called super predators. No cautions and no empathy. Like no.
You're right.
So like, I mean, I find it kind of like funny because like it seems like she took a complete 180 on that when she ended up running for president in 2016. So yeah, and like I learned a lot about her and about her husband when researching this, right? And because like I said, the mandatory minimums thing, Bill Clinton was the guy who really introduced that into the U.S. system. So yeah, like they were really putting a lot of people into jail, and then she kind of like her whole campaign was kind of like trying to put a reform to that. Like I feel like part of the reason why she lost is because she was already locking up so many people in the past. So why, like people were kind of like, why wouldn't she do it again? And honestly, like we were too young to understand anything that was going on. So like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, how do you feel about not just her, but the term that would get put on, they get labeled onto black men as the super predators?
I feel like it's very derogatory. Obviously exaggerated to make them to like paint them in a bad light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it definitely could not have been used, but I feel like no matter what we had done, they wouldn't have not used it. It was going to happen regardless. And it's like, they might not use the same words as they used like that back then, but like they still use words that bring the same type of negative attention to a certain race or a minority. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Question 6. What are your opinions on the quote of Judge Jim Gray? He's a judge in I think California, and he said, because of the war on drugs, he said in 1990 we were only half successful at prosecuting homicides countrywide as we have been in 1980. And think about it like this also, is that from 1980 to 1990, technology had advanced a lot with that. So they're only half as successful as we're prosecuting homicides countrywide in 1980. And that's because of the Reagan administration had once again ratcheted up the war on drugs. So using all this prosecuting resource, like all the resources to prosecute people, into non-violent drug offenders instead of violent murderers and robbers who would be running around the streets and they would really get away with some of these crimes. So, like, what are your opinions on that?
So what you're saying is they were focusing more on drugs and trying to stop that than actual serious crimes like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I feel like it's intentional. I feel like they're doing this on purpose. I think they know what they're doing. They know why they're doing it.
Yeah.
I feel like even to the war on drugs, there's no real stop. We're not going to stop it, especially not by making laws or putting people in jail for using it or selling it, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like even today, like you can really see that it hasn't stopped. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. It barely even slowed down, if it even did.
Yeah, and also like really the winners of this was obviously the U.S. government. They got what they wanted. They put millions of people in jail, right? And then now you have like drug lords who are making $100 million or billions of dollars by just by just smuggling drugs into the United States alone. So like the drug, they're still available to get drugs, right? It's very easy to get drugs. Really all they did was just lock up a whole bunch of people and then label them felons, and now they can't vote and they can't get a job. It's like it's kind of like
Exactly.
stripping away.
That's why I say, like, I feel like they know what they're doing. Like, they're doing this on purpose. They know that it's going to result in like worsening the smaller drug case punishments. They know it's going to result in more minorities not being able to do basic human rights, like vote for a president for their country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just like really rough to think about too, because like you really hear these stereotypes nowadays about the absent black father and everything. Like that really could have been like that whole stereotype might have been started because of the war on drugs and how many black men got arrested. Like there's a quote from Brian Stevenson that says, like 1 in 3 black men between the ages of 18 and 30, 1 in 3 will be imprisoned one time in their life. Right? Like that is just that's a crazy stat. Right? And like especially if we were locking up millions and millions and millions of people off like non-violent charges, like that's really where that whole stereotype came from. So,
yeah, I feel it's just like, again, it's just like repeated. Like it's them doing things that negatively affect in positions that they were put in.
Yeah.
Like with the bad living circumstances and things like that. That's what I'm referring to when I say that.
Yeah.
It's like situations that they really can't control, and in places that it's really not safe for them to be. So it's like they have to resort to doing a certain thing, and then them resorting to doing certain things resorts to them being, thrown in jail for whoever knows how many years if they even ever get out. And then they get out and can't really do anything that a normal human should be able to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then also there's a final question number 7. Do you think that the people who are arrested on drug charges in states where the drug is not legal, do you think they should get let out? So like, for example, you know how weed is now legal in Illinois. So let's say like 20 years ago you got locked up on a drug charge for weed, like for selling a whole bunch of weed. And do you think now they should be let out since weed is legal? Or do you think no, they should be let out because they still broke the law?
I don't recall if weed is legal for like distribution, unless it's been legally attained. So if they were selling it, no, it doesn't make sense to let them out.
Right.
Just because it's not like they bought it from a dispenser and got, like, you know what I'm saying, and got locked up for that. But it's like it's still illegal that they were selling it if you can't sell it. I definitely don't think they should be there for 20 years though. 20 years is crazy.
Yeah.
Especially when there's people committing like serious crimes and getting out in months, bro.
Yeah. Like there's also another quote by Brian Stevenson saying that this country treats you better if you're wealthy and guilty than if you're innocent and poor, which basically means that like I said, like how bail, like how a lot of these cases had bail, but they're really high. Like if you were guilty of this and you had bail, you could just get out. But if you weren't, like sometimes people weren't even doing these things, we're still getting locked up. So if you couldn't post bail, then there's no, like, you have to sit there and
get out. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Especially for people of color, and I could probably look it up and find out. But people of color probably have way less cases where the actual bail, because like a lot of times they don't give you bail for more serious crimes usually, but it still like applies to it. Like if we measure up the wealthy white man and the poor black man's bail, how often they would be we'll say how often they would be offered reasonable bail, because there's outlandish bails that people that have been given is crazy. But it's probably, it's obviously going to be more towards the wealthy white man.
Yeah, and then also there's like another thing that's like plea deals, like that kind of goes with that, is that like a lot of people will get arrested, right? And they'll be like, you might have to face 3 years, right, without a trial, right? But if you go to trial, go to court, and you lose, you might be facing up to 20 years because these
Right.
mandatory minimums, right? So now you're having people basically like you have the audacity to even try to bring like yourself to court for something you didn't do, right? And let's say if you don't have a lot of money, you can't afford the greatest lawyer ever, right? And you lose the case, like now you're locked away for 20 plus years and probably a felon for something you didn't even do. Like,
Exactly, and it's just them trying to force being guilty and throw them in jail. And it's like the criminal justice system usually works against people of color, which is
Yeah.
even more of a problem because if they don't take the plea deal because they didn't do it and they're being worked against in this trial, then they're pretty much asked out of luck. There's nothing they can really do. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. But yeah, that was the basically the whole interview. Went really smoothly. Thanks for letting me interview today. And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I guess goodbye. I guess.